I'm going to announce the next reader. Akeema-Zane is a writer, researcher, and multimedia artist born and raised in Harlem, New York, and is a descendant of Trinidad and Tobago. While attending a predominantly white all-girls boarding school in Connecticut, art became a primary avenue to express her intellectual development, one that differed tremendously from her peers. She's received a self-designed interdisciplinary BA from Eugene Lake College with an emphasis on Anglophone Caribbean studies. Akeema-Zane has displayed visual works in various exhibitions, made appearances, and performed in short films, music videos, and plays, and read her written works in various galleries. She considers writing her primary mode of expression and had her first solo show in 2014, which was a performance reading of a collection of short stories on her boarding school experience as a part of an installation called New Renaissance Sessions. Her piece, There's a Monopoly on Change, was recently published as a part of a multidisciplinary exhibition which addressed the shifting landscape of urban environments entitled The Way Out is Through, put together by members of the 2015 No Longer Empty Curatorial Lab. So please put your hands together for Akeema-Zane.
So I have two short pieces that I'm going to do. I always hated being the person with the cell phone, or I hated when people read from their cell phones, but I'm going to do that person. So the first piece is untitled. I arrived, bore between her waning silence and those overlooking the wonder of body travailing spirit. The freshness of her blood stained my entry into the cold of the white room, and I screamed, witnessing what resided outside the hollow of her womb. Eyes competed for my attention while ripping me away from her core. The shock of my separation from her body would never return to me unless it was I who laid flat, knees raised to the ceiling and legs spread to the air, enduring creation. She laid on the hospital bed, straining her body to sit upright while awaiting the moment she could hold me in her arms. It was the day before the holiday. She was preparing the turkey, and her body urged her to the hospital. She walked there in the rain, from the home I came to know as my own. She took to the streets in heels, alone, pacing the concrete while strangers glanced in awe, clearing a path for her to glide through. A man wearing a bright green shirt offered himself and escorted her to the emergency room. He left white chrysanthemums for her at the reception desk upon her exit. For a while, it was just us. No reminiscence of those who greeted me with the dress I donned at my christening, no recollection of the crib I slept in, just the smell of her breath when she sang to me, the warmth and savor of milk from her breast, the reflection of myself in the whites of her eyes. Her voice no longer pranced against the amniotic fluid whose comfort only the touch of her skin could mimic. The armor needed to shield me outside her womb was more than tarnishing. But every Sunday, after washing my hair with garlic shampoo, she played dub and sat me between her legs on the red living room carpet to braid my hair. If her favorite song came on, she'd get up to dance in front of the 3-foot mirror which hanged on the wall of the dining room. She'd sing along, her voice as clear as the roosters crowing outside Auntie Helena's guest bedroom window, waking me to the crack of dawn to greet the sun of carnival season. By 6 o'clock, we'd eat callaloo and rice with oxtails and macaroni pie and potato salad, and I'd close my eyes and remember home like I felt it in the core of her gut. I, this hybrid, this crossroads between old and new of migration conquered, would come to be the consequence of a dream unfeathered. She'd leave notes across my pillow after waking to break her fast. They read, Stay full of ammunition, for the battle ahead is tall and unwavering. Work, not wealth, is defined by the girth of one's wallet, but the garden from which one feeds the family and thus the spirit. Home is the seat to the soul. The other piece is the one that was in the bio, and that's called There's a Monopoly on Change. Mom said her boss let her go, told her that she could enjoy her vacation more now since it'd be longer. The brokerage firm folded. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I wanted to dedicate this piece to Roger Toussaint, who led the MTA strike in 2005. There's a monopoly on change. Mom said her boss let her go, told her that she could enjoy her vacation more now since it'd be longer. The brokerage firm folded. Dad turned down that job with the MTA since he'd see a third of his income lost to taxes. Figured he was better off taking the gamble and having $700 in his pocket, even if it only meant he could work 3 days a week and not 5. At least he'd have some time to rest his back from all the lifting of boxes. Although these days, ain't been much resting getting done. Folks been moving like pack rats, he said, especially those college students. And the moving rates done dropped as a result of seeing less families packing into those apartments. And those houses, they've been renting those to them students too. And them rich folks been using those moving companies and not no independent hustlers with business cards from 1997. So money's been tight. Cross the tunnel ain't been much different. Mom said Aunt Kathleen started renting out the guest room, the basement, and the attic too. She said since her divorce she'd been short on money for mortgage and spends her evenings sitting around counting the days till she got laid off and counting her blessings too. She said she can't help but see it coming, since so far they let go of 3 nurses in just 1 week. So she was just biding her time. She done gave up her BMW, and the IRS been garnishing her checks. Thank God she sought to take the NCLEX exam to become an RN. But ain't but few of those job openings. More and more hospitals been closing, and nursing homes too. It's like the Affordable Health Care Act done intensified the loss of Medicaid reimbursements to spike in the rising cost of supplies and services. All them buildings getting replaced by condominiums. Could you imagine having a former burn or intensive care unit for a bedroom? One time, Aunt Stacey Ann, Dad, and Cousin Kendra sat in the front gallery, liming, as they say. After the sun went down, and Aunt Stacey Ann, who they called Toots, saw a bat and went on about the so-called sukunya she saw fly across the sky on an evening. If all they see the sukunya, it come to suck, why is he named blood? He playing, he want to thief people money. He go see fireball coming for your ass again tonight. All they feel is joke and make him. People just say they don't believe, but I believe. And I just see. And I thought she was crazy talking then. But it seems crazy people just don't make no case out of proving you wrong. Spirits really do seem to linger outside their physical form. They even linger in objects. All the things we seem to touch and hold and keep and hoard, they all have fingerprints and dust and stories and memory. And some living things are spirits who make it their business to interact with humans they got history with, somehow or another. Mom said I got me an old soul. I look at pictures of my great aunt and hear old stories of my grandfather, and I can't help but wonder if I got their spirits running through my blood. And I wonder whose spirits they had running through theirs. and how spirits are so all-knowing to just inhabit new bodily territory like that. And what about those spirits that got hold of the wrong bodies, if there even is such a thing? I mean, it's kind of like those white folks running around here trying to catch wind of this body, except it ain't just one person's body. It's the bodies of people, families, homes, and lands, trying to snatch whatever little life or speck of hope folks round these parts got left. Ain't no trauma like seeing one of your kind lead you into a tunnel of no return, selling change for time. Selling votes in exchange for folks' memory of the Black Star Line and William O'Neill, Jim Jones, and the Atlanta murders, no telling how much of a conspiracy any of it was. Little do these folks moving in know, you can't make much out of anything. You can't make much of anything out of such hollow ground. You can't be turning no underground railroads into condominiums without catching breath of Lucifer himself. And I sure as hell bet ain't no one coming with their gris-gris, bata, salts, nor stoop ladder to hang their glass bottles on strings from trees. Between Adam Clayton and Frederick Douglass Boulevard near Little Africa, my love used to sell t-shirts that said, Harlem not for sale. I remember walking past her table one day and seeing a double-decker tour bus of white people taking pictures while the guide motioned the crowd to stargaze at the Apollo. I thought to stick my middle finger out, but before I could think twice, it started to rain. My love and I turned from them, looked at each other, and got out a good cackle as the folk on the top deck scurried for coverage and tucked away their cameras. I left her as she packed her burgundy van and directed her eldest grandson to hurry and put these shirts in a container in the back, boy. I made an about face and headed back toward Adam Clayton, past the state office building, examining those new Harriet Tubman condos on 32nd right before the chicken and waffle spot that don't ever open on time. I cut through St. Nick's projects, noting the new benches they lined the entrance with, and made a right at the intersection on Edgecombe, following the trail of white folk exiting the train station. Strivers Row ain't never looked more silver spoon. I walked back toward St. Nick Ave and past the Harlem School of the Arts, where I learned how to plie, watercolor paint, and play the drums. Then on toward Sugar Hill, only to find the doors of St. Nick's pub closed. I stood in front of the door for a while until a man walked by telling me that the owner done lost his liquor permit, but they was gonna open as soon as they renewed it again. But St. Nick's pub ain't never reopened. Something about the new tenants, one of which was a lawyer from downtown, started complaining about the smell of weed drifting from the backyard. Promised if it didn't stop, he'd make sure the doors remained closed. And just like that, they done came and turned good old living niggas into ghosts.